Charlize Theron's one-night stand. You may have seen the viral clip of actress Charlize Theron, 49, bragging about her sex life, including a fling that she had with a 26-year-old man, which she described in an expletive-ridden conversation as amazing. So, some thoughts. Obviously, this is an adult content sort of post. 1. With all of our talk about making America great again, let us remember that America is currently a cesspool. It is a garbage pile teeming with maggots. It is a den of thieves. It is a temple of wickedness. America needs to repent. And there is no amount of Republican politicking that can make America great again if America does not first bow before Jesus Christ and become good again. This relates to the topic at hand simply because it is incredible that we are having this conversation. It is amazing that this is something that Christians need to address biblically. It wasn't that long ago that the F-bomb was a rare occurrence in only the dirtiest of movies. It wasn't that long ago that people did not discuss their sex lives freely on public podcasts. It wasn't that long ago that our culture had some modicum of a sense of decency and shame. This is not an appeal to return to the good old days, but a recognition that we are living in the brave new world that is the necessary consequence of rejecting Jesus Christ as Lord. Now, prominent cultural figures go on public interviews and describe, without the slightest blush, their sexual licentiousness, bragging about how wonderful it is to live in flagrant fornication, and encouraging others to follow in their steps. Get rich, get famous, get laid. Charlize would like to convince us all that this is the life. We have come a long way from high school sweethearts, first kisses at the altar, virgins on the wedding night. We have come a long way from modest maidens who don't share their body around like a piece of meat at a buffet. We have come a long way from men who defended and cared about the honor of women. We can blame whoever we want. Jesus would say that we should start with ourselves. Matthew 7:3. 2. I don't believe her. This actress would like to convince us that she has a flourishing sex life full of joy and pleasure and intimacy. She seeks to convince us of this by telling us that she had an amazing evening one time with a 26-year-old. Color me skeptical. I'm not skeptical that the event happened. Wickedness is rampant in the streets of this nation. The daughters of America prostitute themselves shamelessly, and the sons of America rush to the Proverbs 7 woman and ask her to escort them to Sheol. So I don't doubt that it happened, but I do doubt that it was truly as satisfying as she makes it out to be. She eats and wipes her mouth and says, I have done no wrong. Proverbs 30:20. But I wonder who exactly she is trying to convince. What we are watching in Charlize's interview is a woman who found a couple of crushed M&Ms in a gutter on the street and is now telling other women that they too should start sifting through the sewage. Trust me, the M&Ms were amazing. Which leads one to suspect that she has never had a 5-course, 5-star meal. God's design for sex is not a curmudgeonly restriction of sexual pleasure, but a generous outpouring thereof. Within the intimacy of covenant marriage, there is an entire lifetime worth of sexual delight, as two people become one flesh. This is a sex life that transcends a simple bestial physical act, and which becomes something transcendent, sacred, and even eternal. Sexual attraction and pleasure multiply when shared within a relationship that is deep and true and reflective of the magnetic polarities of godly masculinity and femininity. If you think sex has all the meaning and significance of a dog humping a random inanimate object, I'm sorry, but you have no idea what sex is. Sex is supposed to have the magnetic and magical beauty of the romance between the knight and the damsel. You don't get that with hookup culture. You get it with Christian marriage. Further, sex is supposed to produce children, and children multiply the joy of their parents. Sex is supposed to be a seed that bears fruit. It has meaning and purpose as a part of a shared life, a deep and thorough love, and a mutually built legacy. Charlize thinks that sex is simply a drug. It gives you a high, and if you find a better dealer, he will give you a stronger dose. But sex is actually a dance, and there is no dance like the one that you've been practicing with the same partner for decades. If you do not have a sex life that is one of sowing and reaping, of planting and then waiting for a harvest, you will never know what it is like to rest in the shade of the orchard. In other words, she has no idea what she's missing, and she's trying to convince an entire generation of women to miss it too. 3. Don't judge me until you have worked in my industry. That is a quote, a paraphrased quote from her interview. Actually, it is completely appropriate to judge people by the moral compromise that they are willing to make under pressure. Actresses who turn themselves into harlots just to land a role in a movie are responsible to God for their sin. Imagine a politician using this line. I know I'm a compromised and dishonest snake, but don't judge me until you've lived in Washington. A good woman is the kind of woman who says, you want me to sell my body in order to work in Hollywood? I guess I will not be working in Hollywood then. And yes, the male directors who are perpetrating this kind of garbage are also disgusting and wicked men, but nobody gets to get out of accountability for their own actions because somebody else was bad too. 4. In keeping with our classic American individualism, Charlize has no concept of vision for the future. I would like to ask her where this 26-year-old man is going to be when she is 65 years old. Who will be holding her hand or sitting with her by the Christmas tree? What grandchildren will be coming over for Independence Day? What intimate companion, who has shared the ups and downs of her whole life, will be there to walk together with her into the sunset? The answer is no one. This life of hedonism which she has advocated is vapid, it is empty, it is selfish, it is sad, and it will literally not age well. She is on track to quickly becoming a selfish old woman filled with regret, waiting to die alone. Jesus offers a better alternative. Take up your cross, lay down yourself, and you will find life abundant. 5. What is the answer? In a culture of filth and fornication, of promiscuity and pornography, of salacious novels and shameless interviews, what is the Christian alternative? Obviously, there is the Christian view of sex in the home, virginity until marriage, monogamy afterwards. As Christians, we need to understand and proclaim not only that this is righteous and that the alternatives are wicked, but also that biblical, married, holy sex is actually really, really good. Like super fun. Like intoxicatingly delicious. Like Song of Solomon and Proverbs 5. Like, you think the fireworks on 4th of July are impressive? Christians are not arguing for some sort of stoic and miserable life without pleasure. We're advocating for a life of true and good and pure pleasure. The man who is addicted to drugs thinks that the drugs are making him happy, but they're actually destroying him. And the one who comes alongside and says, leave your drugs behind and come to the feast instead, this is not a killjoy, but rather a joy giver. On a deeper level, though, this is ultimately a gospel issue. People who are slaves to sin think that their master really cares for them. They think that they are free simply because they get to do what they want. What they do not see is that what they want is actually their own destruction. The Christian message is not primarily a morality cleanup game. It is a message of rebirth. Jesus can set you free. He doesn't promise an easy life or a great sex life. You can't come to Jesus for the benefits. You come to Jesus for himself. He becomes your first love and your deepest joy. He sets you free from your sin. He makes you new and holy, no matter how many one-night stands you have had. When you are satisfied in Jesus, sex takes its proper place, and then, if he blesses you with a godly spouse, you will discover something else. The snacks from the gutter that seemed so amazing a few years ago, they do not come close to the holy feast and the exhilarating fireworks that are waiting for you at home.